might, you know.
What's up, beautiful humans? What's up, everybody?
Yo.
You want to do the thinker? You're pretty good.
What's going on? Hey, everybody out there this moment.
What's going on, Facebook
Facebook
Live
family.
land? Yeah, Facebook family.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Welcome to the first shooting at the Every Teen Scene studios. You know,
Here in Burbank, California. No, I'm staying in Utah.
But no, you know, everybody knows Bo. Everybody knows Bo. Everybody knows Dave.
Everybody knows Dave.
Everybody knows Dave. I don't know if everybody knows this guest. Who is this guest? Bo?
That represents, well, I think it represents every teen scene and everyone that may be struggling, might have lost their life, might be a parent that is alone, doesn't know what to do. Could be somebody with PTSD, could be somebody that's just, you know, having a bad bucket day, and they need to have a pity party, and then watch what we're doing and talk about it and go from there. So
yeah, every time we do this, we're looking. We're thinking a weekly segment, you know, and we're thinking of making this a consistent, ongoing conversation. And the thing is that we're going to leave this empty seat, you guys, because just this year alone, we've lost 3 teens out at Harriman High School. You know, so this is that teen. You know, this is that next human being that we lose, that next soul that decides to take that way out because they got no one to talk to and they feel like they're all alone.
right.
What's your take on this whole? You guys want to talk about the school shooting in Florida, or
We can talk about that. We can talk about anything. Sure.
everybody feel free to interact out there.
Absolutely.
That's watching. Let's see if we're going to be watching from Dave's feed and interacting. Let's just turn this down. We'll turn it all the way down, and then see. Yeah.
We, you know, obviously that whole tragedy represents something that there's quite a debate about. You know, the first thing that comes out are guns and you know, all those types of things, and obviously the loss of life that's catastrophic. I mean, even one is worse than the other, but now we've got stories about football coaches throwing their body in front of, you know, teenagers trying to save them and things like that. I think the best thing to do, I've been in that world, unfortunately I've seen some of those things that have happened. It always comes, for me, it's not the debate of the guns, it's not the debate of, you know, how many of these are happening. It's really about, we really need to just get to the core of preparing ourselves. How do we do that? We do that in many different ways. Mentally, our schools and our school districts and our teachers, we need to be prepared everywhere throughout the country to deal with that. They're not going to stop happening. They're not. No matter what you do, unfortunately, sorry to say, you can, you know, throw arrows, it's not going to stop. So what do? You prepare for it. You get your children in a mindset, you get yourself in a mindset, and then you make the appropriate adjustments in your life. And that's what we expect the schools to do as well. We live in a free society. It's going to be very difficult to put metal detectors and x-ray machines and eye scanners into schools. It's going to be very costly. So that cost is going to have to be spread out over other things, other preparedness things. And I'm not here to selling products. I'm not, because that's what I do is preparation. Let's start mentally thinking about what we can do to prepare. That's the reality of life. The reality of life is that we can go to a movie theater and unfortunately have somebody spray bullets around. We can go to a concert and be shot at. We can have our children go to school and unfortunately be shot at. We can go to our own work and have some kind of workplace violence. We have got to change our mentality. Sans that take the debates away, we've got to prepare ourselves. And that's by talking about it. Hey, this is what we do, this is what I do, and working with the schools, if we're just specifically talking about that, working with the schools to come up with the best plans that you possibly could come up with.
What do you think, where are you at on this whole thing, Dave?
No, as we kind of talked about before we went live, it's just such a, I mean, it's not like you said, it's inevitable. Like, how do you stop it? I mean, it's like you can't. I mean, being prepared. I mean, it's so gut-wrenching to me. I've lost a child.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, loss of life is horrible no matter what, but I've lost a child. And so every time I hear of these, it hits me probably more so than those that haven't lost a child, because you know what pain they're feeling. Yeah. Now, I know we're just talking about schools, and you know, it hasn't been too long since the concert in Vegas and that. So I mean, but I mean, loss of life is just horrific, and it's just like that moment, like your life has changed forever, and we take so many things in this world for granted. And getting back to what do we do to prepare for those things? And I mean, that's all we can do is prepare, because there's is there a way to stop it completely? No.
Well, and I want to come from a perspective right now of just a little bit different, because something's in my heart. I used to travel the country selling software to school districts in corporate America. So I was a witness to these types of events in schools and districts, and I see the district administrators, the teachers, the parents, even students, but specifically those school districts coming under a lot of heavy scrutiny right now after something like this happens. And I'll tell you this, the teachers, the administrators, they're doing all that they can do out there, and they're stretched thin. I'm not saying they're perfect, but I'm saying, how do we start within our own homes, our communities, as friends, as neighbors, as cousins, to an individual that's not feeling well, to someone that we know.
Sure.
Think of with this young man, think of all the individuals, the students, the other teams around him that knew that there was some screws loose, that something wasn't quite right here. So I understand a preparedness thing, but I guess from the every team scene, every human scene standpoint, how do we start, really seeing these individuals so it's an intervention that's far before, what I'm saying, there's guns in hands, or whatnot. And I'm an idealist, guys. I live in dreamland of rainbows and, fairy tales, where
Sure.
I truly believe that we can shift to a culture of getting way more further out ahead of these things. Does that make sense?
Sure, I'm as probably tainted and as real as anybody, but I'm also optimistic. The problem you have is in a free society, you unless you have a warrant, or unless you have an arrest warrant, a search warrant, or you can do what they call knock and talks. Let's talk about this young teenage 19-year-old individual that did this. You're right. What can we do within the abilities that we have in a free society to monitor someone like that, to try and bring them into some way of understanding? It could take as little as another teen or another person going, dude, you really shouldn't act that way. You should. I know it's going to piss them off, but hey, what is it that's burning? I think it's peer support. I think it's somebody having the guts enough to contact that young man at a certain point in his life. I know he had not a good parental situation, but whoever in his life to be able to do that, I think that's where we kind of need to focus, because, or unfortunately, I bring the law enforcement side in, or you have a law enforcement officer but the law enforcement officer is not meant to try and heal or try and get that person to kind of understand the things that they're saying, the things that they want to do. On that side, it's more as a, hey, we know you have guns, we know you have an attitude, but that's not the loving side, but that needs to happen on the law enforcement
Absolutely.
side. On the community side, we need to be able to have guts enough, whether it's a teenager or an older person or whatever, to say, hey, how are you today?
Yeah.
You know, what's going on? What's going on with you? Well, nothing. Okay, well, maybe that time didn't work. But continue to try, because I think we know, I think kids know, and I think adults know that, you know, if they're not really willing to say anything to you, that there is something going on. I mean, most people, if they're really ready, they'll just start blaring out stuff. They'll just say, I feel this way, and that way. So I think the answer, I don't know if the ultimate answer, but the ultimate answer is being, and aggressive is not the word, but being that minister of good, that person that reaches out, especially in the teen world, another teen or a teacher. I know teachers are doing all they can.
Right.
Coaches, parents, even an alternative, just a different parent in the neighborhood or
A friend's parent.
it's somebody just taking
A
that.
relative.
I think that's one of the only ways that I think, and I live sometimes in that, you know, candy cane world too.
Sure.
But it's really about connection. This child, this teen, really didn't have a connection that was positive enough in his life to pull him out of whatever he was in.
You think that's what it's all about, Dave, is connection?
Well, I really do, and I was gonna touch, and I think it starts way deeper, because like you're talking about the teens, and because, you know, it probably starts at 7, 8 years old. These kids, for whatever reason, become isolated, and what they need is they need more Levi's, you know, amongst their peers as teenagers to reach out. Because now I think back, all of us are the type of people who are going to reach out and try and help people today. But when we were 14, were we doing that? I wasn't. I wasn't.
No.
You know,
That's a
I
great
was in my
point.
own little
It is,
world.
it's huge.
So if we had, you know, warriors at that base level, you know, so to speak.
Well, and helping them, because you know as well as I do, a teenager at that age doesn't feel like they can be vulnerable enough to say, okay, if I help that person, that will help me. It's kind of a mirrored thing.
Yeah.
But it happens at our age too, at my age.
It's still.
You know, the vulnerability
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
saying, hey, you know, I've got this issue, hey, let's talk about that issue, and that trust.
Yeah.
But I think you've got it there where if we can get teens to really understand that it's okay to have issues and make mistakes and you know, be a teenager, we're dealing with the same thing as old folks too, honestly.
Right.
But let them understand that they can talk amongst each other and really feel free about talking about things and not suffer the ramifications of that guy's weird or that girl's weird.
And that's what happens. They, you know, that slight bit of vulnerability, all of a sudden they get labeled, and then they're bullied from then on, and it just perpetuates.
Right.
From then
I
on.
think that's why adult mentor, or the ability to have adults that understand that, but also have teens that can understand that too, is that winning combination. You know, when you got to talk to teenagers, I mean, they're looking at you like you're my age. You know, they're going, oh my gosh, that guy's horribly
We're just
old.
grouped together.
But
Yeah,
the
we're
whole
just old.
idea is to open up those hearts and those minds for them to be able to help each other out and be vulnerable. I think vulnerability is the biggest thing in the world. I mean, it keeps all humans, and that's an insecurity issue. We can talk about that, but you know, we all have those types of issues.
Right. Well, and I'll throw in this, you know, the program out there exists. The Hope Squads, created by Dr. Greg Hudnell out of Provo. We've got kind of a crummy situation going on out in Harriman with 3 different teams lost just this year already from Harriman High School. But so he was out there kind of in a triage type situation at the middle school last night. But Hope for Utah, locally, you know, local awesomeness has the Hope Squads in the high school. That is a high school-based decision. You know, we've talked about Jordan High School, not yet having one. Maybe we'd go over there and help them, but it's that peer group. It's that peer-to-peer.
We need to go talk to Tom Sherwood.
Tom Sherwood. Let's go talk to
Principal
Tom.
Sherwood. Yeah.
But yeah, it's actually the peers. They nominate those peers, those students in there, they say, hey, if you're having a problem, who are the students you would go talk to? Now, I've heard goods and bads of that. Sometimes that turns into the popularity contest. It's the same 10 names that get voted in. But, you know, our experience at Hillcrest has been so positive with that Hope Squad out there. And literally, Dr. Hudnell said that this year he anticipates 50% of Utah schools will have a Hope Squad.
Oh, great.
You know, and so that's a great thing. So, big shout out to all the Hope Squads out there, any parents that are watching. Do a little research and ask if at the middle school, the high school, if the Hope Squad is alive and well at your student's school, and support them, because really doing great stuff. But man, I'm with you. They say it just takes one human being to care to save that life, regardless of who it is.
Right.
Be it a janitor, the principal, the superintendent, the neighbor, the uncle, the brother, the sister, and we can all be that human being. We can all be that human
And all
being.
you have to do is listen. Listen. That's all you have to do. I mean, in my experience with the world, if you just listen, if you're able to spend some time and let someone vent and not try and solve their problem, just let them vent and let them be, you know, who they are without any judgment, just let them vent. A lot of times they get up and go, thanks for helping me, you know, and all you did was listen. So, you know, whether it's a Hope Squad or whether it's, you know, a peer or it's even, and I know it's sometimes hard for parents. You know, it's like anything else. As a parent, if we tell a teenager something, they go, yeah, right. But if another parent or another adult might say the same thing, go, oh yeah, well that might be right, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The saying I've heard is it's hard to be a prophet in your own land.
Exactly.
So in your own household, when they always hear your voice.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think it takes, you know, to open up to someone, that obviously they have to have a lot of trust in that person, that they're not gonna, you know, use that vulnerability against them. And I think that's the biggest fear that comes with, they don't wanna share to anybody because they don't know who they can trust.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, do I share it with the wrong person, and all of a sudden I get even more ostracized?
Yeah.
And like I said, and unfortunately, if we don't change that trend in the teenage years, or in the younger than teenage years, it'll never happen, because life becomes one big high school anyway. Unfortunately, it does. If they don't learn that vulnerability and that ability to trust and talk to someone and work their, because I mean, I hope we can all agree, there's nobody has made the perfect performance in this life, except if you're a Christian, one guy.
Well, there was
you know,
even that.
and
You know,
others.
they say no perfect.
Yeah, no perfect. But what I mean is, you know, nobody is. I mean, look at all these people that. I mean, I for one, you guys. I mean, it's not like we haven't ever, and we need our teenagers to understand that it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to learn from them. It's okay to talk. To be. If you trust someone, be vulnerable to them, open up to them, talk. Because you know what? Likely they have the same issues or other issues or whatever else. We're all humans, you know.
We sure are. You're good human.
Levi is great human.
I was a great human.
But we all know that we're trying to do good in the world, and we believe that we're good souls, but we have all made many mistakes. I know.
Right.
You know.
The more mistakes, the better.
Yeah.
Fail often. Fail daily, because there is no failing, right?
Right.
Win or learn, and all that stuff, you guys, it's built us, so we get to be sitting here today.
Right.
If we had we not gone through stuff, would we even be here? Maybe.
No, I don't think we can understand.
No.
What's every teen scene up to these days? I mean,
I was just gonna say, we could do a check-in. Yeah, well, both. Every Monday nights, everybody, every Monday night,
That's
Inspire Night. It starts March 5th though, that's the
March 5th?
launch.
Okay.
March 5th, from then on, Monday nights, Inspire Night at Classic Skating
That's awesome.
in Sandy. It's gonna be so fun.
Oh man,
Cool.
and there's skating. There's skating.
Well,
there.
what does roller skating do?
Skating. I don't know, I'd have to put on the big pads and all that and the
Hey,
helmet.
I'm just there to film and socialize.
I don't follow my buddy.
It's a reconnection with that little kid.
Maybe that's what
Yeah.
maybe these
It's
teams
a
need to
reconnection.
see, is us on roller skating, doing the,
Yes.
doing the
Sure.
volleyball
Yeah,
and stuff.
That's it, no,
Pretty fun.
but that, if you think about that, Bo, like,
true.
how big
That's
is
true.
that?
Boat not broken, man.
That's right,
True.
Boat not broken, we
Boat
fall
not
down.
falling.
Yeah,
Yes.
boat,
Exactly.
Well,
you
So
talk
anyway,
about boat breaks
so what
his
else is going on?
coccyx.
So what else is going on?
Well, so that's big,
You've got some partnerships happening too.
big partnerships happening, everybody. Be looking for the Infinite Vision, every teen scene, coming out. This is an awesome story. So, just a little teaser. We're gonna do a launch thing, but big stuff coming there. Just feeling so thrilled, guys. Just feeling so grateful to literally just to be sitting here. To be having these conversations, to travel around, to speak to students. I was at Hillcrest yesterday in a number of classrooms, guys, and I'll tell you, it was first thing in the morning. The Hope Squad there, we're doing it's a challenge. It's a 20 acts of random kindness challenge coming up. So we're in classrooms yesterday, standing in front of these students, guys, and literally out of like 20 students, there's just, you could count them on one hand, those that are like awake. And I don't mean like engaged and like there, because this life is happening and we're not doing right by the teen tribe. I finally figured out, I feel like I'm maybe a bit of a tribal elder for the teen tribe. You know what I'm saying? We only want to notice them when there's been something wrong, or there's been a mass shooting and a bunch are killed, and I'm not hating on everyone, because a lot of people are doing so much good, but let's start listening and seeing our teens. Are we listening when they say, I'm not feeling good? Because you know what, almost every person that commits suicide that is successful, they don't want to. They just want help. They're just reaching out. And they give warning signs. They say stuff. I know I went back in here, but guys, I'm just so passionate about this because, I get to sit here with other warriors. All the work is connected. Everyone that's doing great stuff out there. But just really fired up right now, guys, because the time for change is now. It's happening. Right. So thank you for being a part. We are all one. We are all one,
Thank you.
No. And it starts in the teenage, even preteen.
Elementary.
It starts there. I mean, the people that I talk to and work with are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. A lot, and some teenagers.
Which is the greatest population, right?
Yes, but if we can affect change at a young age, I think we can help raise generations of children and teenagers that might understand that whole idea of reaching out. It's okay to reach out, or it's okay to help somebody else. And we're all going through something. Doesn't matter what age we are. And they need to realize that, because they see the perfect life, and I might be going off on a tangent. But again, I say all the time, stop looking at someone else's freaking highlight reel.
Yes.
You're looking at their all-star highlight reel.
Yeah.
You're looking at them in whatever setting. That's not them. Who they are is going to sleep in their bed, in their bedroom. Who they are, what their thoughts are, what's going on. That is not there. Not everybody is big superstar, and all these superstars have problems too. So anyway, not to keep going, but we've got to make sure that we teach our teenagers to stop looking at, there's, that's that family. They're perfect. No, they're not.
Right.
Okay? No, they're not. 55 years, 25 years of law enforcement and teaching, and there's not anyone I've ever met, and I still love them, that don't have some kind of issue. So as a teenager, don't look at even your own age or even older and think they have the perfect family, they have the perfect girlfriend, they have the perfect marriage, they have the perfect job. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
No.
And I'm not to be negative.
You're
but
not.
what we're trying to project is is that life can be difficult. It can be difficult for all of us. But it's how we approach it. It's how we approach life. It's how we approach, what's our attitude towards those challenges?
Absolutely.
To be better, you have to be challenged.
Well, let's make the posts, let's make the highlight reel that stuff.
Yeah.
Those challenges, I challenge anyone watching this, do a post about a shitty moment.
Yeah.
Do a post about something that was hard, or losing a best friend's, Dave's going to a funeral today, he woke up to a flat tire. It's like that hard stuff,
Yeah.
let's let people know about that stuff. Let's make that the new reality show and highlight reel, because that's the good stuff. That's the stuff that builds us.
Exactly.
You know,
That's a perfect example. This morning, Dave has a flat tire. Instead of Dave going, I'm done, and making it here, he made it here. And
Yes, he
we
did.
all have those challenges every morning. It could be,
I was late, but I made it.
yeah. So that's a great challenge. Talk about your own little challenges. You don't have to go real deep. You don't have to, but just something every day that you can share with somebody. Whether you share it on Facebook, you share it with your children, you share it with your friends if you're a teenager. Hey, dude, this happened to me. Wow. Okay, yeah, well, this happened to me. I mean, really, and that's how we get through every day. That's how we get through, by sharing our stories and connecting.
Yes.
And helping people understand that, we just didn't show up perfect, because we're not.
My dream, you guys, my dream, and then I wanna see what Dave's up to, but my dream, guys, is to build a city. It's called Authentic City, Authenticity.
Yeah.
CITY.
Yeah.
What a wonderful place that'd be to live.
Yeah.
Authentically show up every single day. City,
That's awesome.
CITY. You
Yeah.
know, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on. And you know the opposite of that city, what it would be? Scarcity.
Yeah.
Scarcity.
Wow.
That's the highlight reel. That's the masks. That's the baloney, guys. That's getting outside affirmation and what's the word? External validation from number of likes and followers and views and
Right.
I think we create the new social media hub. And if you like a video, there are no thumbs up or anything.
No,
It's like
no.
if you like it, don't like it.
Well, how many people have you talked to that will come up to you and say, hey, I love what you do, but they've never liked your stuff. You don't even know
Or
they watched
engaged,
you.
yeah.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
a perfect example of everyone's personal influence. We all have it. Whether you're 12 or whether you're 65, you have an influence on people. And social media for the good has a great attribute. For good, I think social media can be just fantastic. So, Authenticity City, or Authenticity.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Dave, what's up, man? What's coming up for you?
I'm happy to be here. I was, when you threw it out, said, hey, do you guys want to get together Friday morning? I'm like, yeah. And then last night, I'm like, well, I got this funeral, but I got to make this work,
Yeah.
So I'm just happy to be here.
How's the kids? Bring us up to speed and what's going on?
We're going great down in Payson. We're not getting as many people in Bluffdale as we'd like. That's the biggest challenge.
Okay.
I haven't quite figured that out.
But that's your quest, though, isn't it? I mean, we have such a big county here. There's got to be, the more and more people know about it, the more you would think Bluffdale would really.
Yeah,
And let's inform them. We're talking about, and we can do it in post, but let's plug here.
Envision Recovery Services, we're in Payson and Bluffdale. We've got that great house in Bluffdale. Envision Recovery Services.
Brand new and space for healing.
Yep, we have intensive outpatient, which is three nights a week for 3 hours. So
That's transformational.
So-
That's life-changing commitment to take ownership of one's life and to, that's vulnerability and strength.
Down in Payson, she's like just built this big community where these people, they're such huge advocates, but they're kind of in the south part of, well, I don't even know, but they're like Utah County, and so they meet people, and so she's been down in Payson for 6-7 years, and so she's really really built up a good following, you know, like the
Yeah.
referral base, they're the big advocates and stuff like that, and so we just need to do that.
I guess what I was trying to say is there's quite a referral base here in Salt Lake County that
Yeah.
needs to be tapped into, or people need to know about what you guys
Sure.
do. I think it's just. a
That,
matter
you're
of
right,
time.
awareness, people
It's
know.
a matter of time.
That's word of mouth.
So.
But if you're in Riverton, Harriman, South Jordan, Bluffdale, heck, anywhere, you know? Bluffdale's
anywhere.
nice, it's a little slower out there, and down there, it's not out there anymore. But man, Envision.
So, that's what we got going on, but.
I'll tell you what, my life changed when I spent 28 days inpatient at a healing center for drug and alcohol addiction. You know, what it was a spiritual awakening. It was a lifetime out for me, you guys, and life transformed. Anyone out there watching this that might be, you know, sometimes life spins out of control. Let's just face it. Sometimes we lean on a substance, we lean on something else to just escape for a minute.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
and so if anybody's watching this and knows somebody or is experiencing that yourself, I love you. I commend you and I congratulate you on having that experience right now because you're lucky. You're blessed. That means you're a badass with big stuff to do, but it also means having the opportunity to advocate for oneself and to say, you know what, everybody, I lost control a little bit here. I'm out of bounds. I'm going to take a time out. I'm going to invest in myself right now this year of 2018, the year of change, and to reach out to Dave, to reach out to Bo, to reach out to Levi or Envision or whoever that is, man. Life-changing stuff right there.
What I wanted to add, the last year, I've been fortunate enough to work with Jolyn and Envision Recovery Services. I've met so many people within the industry, but the beautiful thing about majority of the people in this industry is so many of them, they can tell their own story of recovery, the addiction recovery. And so because of that, because they've been to that low of low and they've found a way to find themselves back, they are some of the most real, authentic people that you're going to find. And that kind of goes to what you talked about earlier, you know, the highlight reel, everything looks perfect because we don't want to be vulnerable, you know. I mean, but some of these people, they're just amazing. And they're so real and authentic. I feel like I've known them for years, even though I've only known them a few months. And that's what you get when you can, you know, be on that level. And, you know, it's like, hey, you know, I'm an open book. And it's just been amazing to meet some of the people and their stories. And for me, when I meet somebody in this industry, I like to know, it's like, how did you find yourself to this industry? And most of them, it's their own personal recovery. The others, it's their kids that went through. That's what led me there. Same with Jolyn. But I'd say from the people I've met, I don't know what the actual numbers are, but I would say less than 5 or 10% of the people in that industry, including the, you know, some of the mental health, it's, you know, they have no connection to any of that. But I mean, so majority of the people, 80-90%, whatever that number is, it's either their own personal recovery or their, you know, close family member. But some of the greatest people I've met in the last year, just because they're real and authentic, just kind of
And leading with the heart.
Yeah,
Leading with the heart.
You know, I'm not the love doctor, but
As you were talking about that, having, you know, being as old as I am, I look at what you just said.
Experience, not old.
Well, what I see is I see, and I wish the teenagers would understand this too, is that I don't have the statistics, but I would bet that those that have gone through some type of treatment, some type of vulnerability, some type of self-assessment and progression make better mates. They have better connective connections with their loved ones than anybody else. I'm just throwing that out there. I know that's kind of
I
deep.
go along with that.
I'm kind of deep with that. I don't know, and what I'm trying to say is, if you can be that way as a teenager, I guess what I'm saying is, that's sexy. That's sexy, teenagers. A woman that can be vulnerable and but yet strong, but have those moments where they need a little bit of help. The man, strong, but can be vulnerable. dude, I've been around a long time, and I've talked to a lot of people, and whether it's, I hope the teenagers can start to see that that's appealing to somebody. They want to,
That's
they
the
want
secret
that,
sauce.
instead
Yeah.
of the, on the guy's side, it's, we're,
Yeah.
we're the total, I guess what you would say, who's the big action hero now? I could say John Wayne, but that'd be dating.
Well, The
But,
Rock, Dwayne Johnson, but you
Look
look
at
at
The
an
Rock.
authentic human.
Look at The Rock.
And a great role
That's
model.
a great role model.
He's real.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And on a woman's side, I mean, there's plenty of, even your own mothers and your own I mean, I guess what I'm just trying to say
No,
really
I'm
quickly
so with
is that, hey, that's sexy, that's attractive, and don't think just because you're a teenager that you don't have those attributes, because you do. You really do.
That's
Don't
the
cut
good
yourself.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's the courageousness.
Yeah.
Okay, so, let's shift over to Bo, and then we'll wrap up.
Oh, no, we don't have to
Bo's
shift
down
Bo.
in Draper, doing, Bill Rapley, right? He was on a talk show yesterday, day
Yeah.
before.
Today,
What's going on, man?
yesterday afternoon, we were talking about preparedness. We're talking about the products that I associate with, from vests to car armor for police officers to military to all kinds of stuff. And then I'm a friend and consultant for a company called Citizen Armor. So there are options for citizens and their children and citizen children to keep themselves safe with backpacks and ballistic material. Unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. We talked about that at the beginning of the
Right.
show. So, and then my association with Mark has been forever, and he's been he's been on my little shows, my little social casts, and what a warrior he's been over the years. And we've gone through some similar situations where you're dragged through the public, you're just dragged, and it kind of takes its toll on you. So we have a lot in common. And I did highlight in Draper City, the Draper Chamber of Commerce is business behind the badge. They're recognizing their police department for the whole month of February, and had a lot of calls here. Why don't they do this nationally? Why don't they do this? Well, I don't know why, other than it takes time and money, and just all it is a recognition. That's all it is, recognizing what they do every single day.
Isn't that beautiful?
I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
They see the worst of humanity.
They
Right.
do, even in Draper. I mean, everybody goes, oh, well, they don't work in New York City. Well, guess what? It's been my experience that I had a more of a broad-ranging, holistic experience as a cop, just where I was here in kind of downtown South Salt Lake Central, for most of my career. But what those police officers do, yes, they're paid to do what they do. They chose what they were going to do, but I guarantee you they didn't know what they were going to get into.
Oh, boy.
They had no idea. So the ability to tell them thank you, walk up to them, and people can do that all around this country. I mean, I have friends that are watching all around. Go up to a cop and say, hey, we really thank you
Exactly.
for what you don't have to buy them lunch, you don't have to buy them dinner. If you want to, that's fine. But the bottom line is, hey, look them in the eye and say, hey, you know how much I appreciate what you do? I know what kind of a toll it takes on your family, kind of toll it takes on you, And so that's what, been involved in a lot of things, but a lot of good things happening, and, a lot of negative things happening, but you just kind of throw those off and still try and help as many people as you can. The things that have really affected me lately are older people terminating their lives, taking their own lives, and that's, I find myself, I'm in that age category where, I get a lot of people that don't inquire or talk about it, and that's good. And it's mostly men my age that feel inadequate. They haven't raised their teenager right, or, they feel like all these things, all these burdens, I can't, they're downgraded in their job. They've got all this education, experience, whatever it is, and, they're working what I usually call a Joe job, and they're underappreciated, undervalued, those types of things. And so that's my quest, amongst other things, is to bring those older men and older women kind of bring them up and help them understand all their achievements. I mean, with them, I can say, look at the beautiful children you have. Look at the jobs you've held, the relationships you've had, you know, all the things you've had. Take that and use that as a positive. Don't look at just the negative. Same thing with teens, but older people do the same thing. We're human. We look at the negative instead of the positive, or our influence. And so, anyway, that's what I'm doing.
Well, we shift that mindset of this is happening for me.
Right.
Not to me, this is happening for me. Therefore, everything is a win. No fail, no negative. I know it's damn hard when you're in the trenches and you're sick. And gosh, a lot of people out there fighting that good fight. Keep it up. We're gonna bring this thing.
Before we end, we need to remind.
Ooh, thank you.
All right,
Go
chair.
ahead, Dave. What does this mean to you?
Well, this empty chair, it could be that teen, it could be that parent that's lost a child, it could be the older male or female that's going through a struggle. This chair is for anybody that needs help. Reach out.
Yep. Every single week, take a look. This is our VIP special guest. Every single week, y'all. And the reason that we wake up in the morning is to get rid of this chair. So many of you out there doing the same thing. We love you. We thank you. Please love on Envision, right? Please love on Bowed Not Broken. Please love on every teen scene. And please love on anyone else and everyone else doing the great stuff out there, because we're all one. We're all the same. We're going to bring this segment. We're going to keep it fresh. If y'all want to see something, if you want to be a guest on this thing and sit in another seat here and be with us and talk, let's have a conversation, y'all. Yeah, we would love it. So, peace, love, rock and roll. Happy weekend, everybody. Take care of one another. Be safe. Thank you guys for
Thank
what
you.
do. Should we do a little, should we do some push-ups?
Share your experiences.
Okay.
Oh, we can do some push-ups?
Do you want to?
Well, we sure could. We could do 18 push-ups.
Let's do 18 push-ups. So on the count of three, should we say 18? We'll say 18 because 18 is in honor of what?
To number 18. Number 18.
Okay.
That's right.
This is the
Good.
year.
All right.
So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3 on 18. Go ahead, Bo.
1, 2, 3, 18!
All right. So let's do some push-ups. Bo is on. This is day how many?
This is day 1,134.
Day 1,134. Anyone out there watching?
I don't know where I'm going to put this.
Do some push-ups today.
Ah, look
Do
at
our
you.
push-ups.
Look at him pumping those things out. Gosh,
You ready?
dang.
All right. We're doing this.
You ready?
Yep.
All right.
Turn it out, Bo.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
It's interesting. We did 18. That's 17 for those lost souls in Florida, and one more for our empty chair.
That's right.
We love y'all. Take care.